Hi everyone, in this video I'll give you an overview on how consent banner works and how to make sure that your consent banner is working as expected when using Google Tag Manager and Google Consent Mode. So let's get started. I'm now on my demo website where I'm using the Google Tag Manager Preview Mode. You can use this by going to your Google Tag Manager container and hitting this preview button over here. When this happens, it will open this window and it will ask you to input your website URL, and then you can view your website. So once I'm on the website, I already have a consent banner configured. And by the way, if you don't know how to configure consent banners, I have two videos on how to do this for Shopify stores using a tool called Bendictes and a tool called CookieBot that can be implemented on any website, not only Shopify. So if you want one of these tools, or if you want to check these videos out, make sure to check them out from the description. Anyway, now since I'm seeing the banner here, before accepting or rejecting it, we need to check or to know what is the default consent behavior. So what is the default consent status that we record for new users that open our website. So let's open our Google Tag Manager container. And then on the left-hand side menu, there are several events that happen. So we're only interested in the consent default menu over here, or consent default event over here. So when we click on it and then click on this consent tab, we'll see that we have several consent categories over here, and then we have a default for these. So this is basically the user consent. It is broken down into these categories. So add storage, analytic storage, and all of these. And we are seeing that everything here is granted. This means that we are tracking users by default, unless they opt out from tracking. So before explaining this point, or before continuing with the video, let's quickly see what each category actually means. So let's go to our banner, and then from the preferences section, let's click on this, and then let's actually reject all and only enable the functional cookies. So I'm gonna enable this only, and then I'm gonna save preferences and go back to the Google Tag Manager Preview Mode. So as you can see, we have a new event over here called consent update. This means that the user have updated their consent, which actually is pretty good. This means that our banner is not only a pop-up, it actually listens to the user consent and update based on. And once I click it, you'll notice that there is that on-page update, and you can know it from like the name. And it have the denied state for some categories, for add storage, analytic storage, and add user data, add personalization. And it is only granted for functionality storage and personalization storage. And this tells us that these are the functional cookies. So if we click on the banner again, click on preferences, we can see that this is the only thing that we have granted. So let's now enable another category, which is performance cookies, and then disable this one and save preference. Let's see what happened. So we can go to the preview mode again and then see this new consent update. And as you can see, everything is denied except for analytic storage. It is granted. And this means that this is the category that we have selected. So this was like a quick overview on what are consent categories and how you can check which consent categories are grouped on which categories on the user interface or on the banner interface, because they are always different. And sometimes the list or the categorization that we just noticed differs from a tool to tool. So based on the tool that you are using, make sure to just do this exercise. It will only take a minute or two from your time, just to know which consent categories from here matches what you have on the website. And by the way, this is what is Google Consent Mode is. So Google Consent Mode breaks down the user consent to several categories, and then you can use these to fire tags or block tags based on the user consent status. So since we have explained what is the default consent category, what is the consent update event, and we also discussed Google Consent Mode and how to check if this is working as expected. So let's do one more thing. Now let's see if the consent is persistent on all pages. What do I mean by that? So I'm currently in this session and I have analytic storage granted only while declining everything else. So we need to make sure that our banner over here carries that information with us. So let's go to another page and see what happens. So I'm going to click on this product page. and then go back to the preview mode. Now let's check the consent default over here. And yeah, we have analytic storage market as granted and security storage. And for your information, security storage will be also granted always, because these are required for any website for security purposes. So users don't have any options actually to opt out of that, and it's completely fine. But yeah, this is actually a great sign. This tells us that our banner is continuing using the preferences that we have chosen in the first page of the website, which is great. Now, the final piece of this video is how to use the consent preference to block tags or allow tags from firing based on the user consent. So let's open Google Tag Manager and let's go to tags. I'm gonna apply this to one of the tags only so I can demonstrate this for you. So I have here a tag for Facebook, and as you can see, this is a custom HTML tag where I'm firing the Facebook add to cart event. So let's scroll down and you'll have a consent setting option over here. And you can see that I'm using this required additional consent for tag to fire. And I'm requiring these two categories, so add storage and analytic storage, to be granted. So this event fires. Even if the trigger is in place, Google Tag Manager will also check for the consent over here. So let's take a live example. Let's add to cart and see what happens. Okay. And let's take this tag name. I'm going to copy it just to look for it over here. And the trigger was event add to cart. And let's use the preview mode again. Now, when we check the trigger, which is the DL add to cart, if we looked for the tag, we can see that the tag is visible here. So these are the tags that fires. They will be grouped under this menu. And then we have tags blocked because of consent settings. And this tells us that the trigger actually is in place, but the tag was not firing because consent is missing, which is great. To make sure your website is 100% compliant, I highly recommend consulting your legal team or a legal firm. And this video only shows you how to make sure that your consent setup is working properly based on your legal team advice. And that's it. This was Ahmed. And if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to the channel, like and share the video, as this motivates me to create more content and help me reach more audience. If you have any questions, please also make sure to drop them in the comment section. I always make sure to get back to each and every comment. That's it, and yeah, see you on the next video.